From the Figure 4 Online Studios in beautiful Bothell, Washington, exclusively at WrestlingObserver.com, you're listening to The Bryan and Vinny Show with your hosts, Bryan Alvarez and Big Vinny V.
All right, it's the Bryan and Vinny Show here, October 24, 2019. Figure4online.com/WrestlingObserver.com. I'm stuffed. Yeah, I just was so hungry. I was just ravaged with hunger. And so I Uber-eated Red Robin.
Thought I saw a Red Robin trade.
Oh, you sure did.
Yeah.
And you know the best thing? I didn't even know until today. I actually felt bad, but I ordered a crispy chicken sandwich, Swiss cheese and mayonnaise only, with garlic fries, and a Clam Diggers clam chowder.
Oh, wow.
And they deliver...
That is a lot of food, by the way.
It was a lot of food. I couldn't even eat it all.
Yeah.
But they deliver it, and the first thing I notice is there's no mayo on the chicken sandwich, and I have no mayo in the house.
Okay.
And there's no garlic fries. It's just regular fries.
Man.
And I'm like, dude, seriously? Like, I haven't eaten anything... I can't remember the last time I ate something really horrible. And now here I am. I'm going to just ravage this Red Robin, and they mess up my order. What can I do? I go to the app, and I go to help, and I go through all of the things, and finally just gets to, was there a problem with your order? I clicked yes. And it brings up my order, and it says... what was the issue? And I clicked on the chicken sandwich and the garlic fries, and I explained I didn't get them. And then it comes up with, would you like a refund? Or, I forget the other thing. The other thing was like, do you want a refund, or do you want...
more food, I would think.
More information or something like that. It was more help. It was something like that. It was like, do you want a refund, or do you want more help? I was like, well, I don't want him to go get the mayo. I don't really want a refund. Like, okay, you forgot the mayo and you forgot the garlic fries, but you gave me normal fries. But they didn't give me any other options. Like, if it would have said, would you like 10% off your next order? I'd have been sure, whatever. But the only options they gave me were refund or do I need more help? So I said, I'll take the refund. And they refunded me $18.
Wow.
For the no mayo and the no garlic fries. So I was a little bit racked with guilt, but at the same time, it was like, dude, I ordered this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's typed. It's not like maybe I screwed something up. Like, my order is there on the app.
Sure, you can see it.
I didn't screw this up. Yeah. They screwed it up. I made it abundantly clear what I wanted, and they messed it up. It said right on there on the app, garlic fries. I didn't get them. So, like, it wasn't my fault. So I got my $18 back. I don't know if I'll ever be able to order from Red Robin again. Yes, Ken.
You might be surprised. I just read an article that Uber and all the delivery services are not going to last.
They're not going to last?
No.
Because of this?
No, because they're not making money.
Oh,
well, they're not making money because they're refunding every single person who doesn't get mayo.
Well, I mean, it should be, like, it's not the Uber person's fault. It's Red Robin's fault.
Yeah.
They're the ones who should pay. I shouldn't be taking this out of the Uber driver or Uber. Like, they successfully went and picked up my food and brought it to me. This is not on them. I'll tip that guy $18 more. But Red Robin screwed up, so they should be responsible. And Red Robin screwing up my order should not sink Uber. You understand what I'm saying, Ken?
It has nothing to do with that. It's just their business practices are terrible.
We'll see how long they last. I mean, I got a newborn. I'm keeping him in business. I don't know what's going to happen in 6 months, but right now, they're doing all right. Anyway, that's my story. But I'm full.
I'm happy you're full.
Because I ate all of the regular fries.
So you'll be in a good mood here for this wrestling show.
I'd have been in a good mood one way or the other. There were two great shows.
Actually true. That's
Are you kidding?
That's a strong point.
Should I talk about how the food was talking to me for 18 minutes here at the beginning of this show? No?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. What did it say?
It actually didn't talk to me.
It was very boring food.
I talked to the food. I was like, why is there no mayo on you? That was my question. Yes, Ken?
If your food starts saying eat me, there's some problems.
Well, Dave's weights are talking to him.
I know.
I'm not sure there's... Well, I mean, besides the obvious. All right, let's get going.
WWE NXT, October 23rd, 2019. They clarified and made it specific and clear and obvious Finn Balor would be there live tonight. No pre-taped comments. Our opener is Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley, and for the most part, they had a match straight out of 1989, and I mean that in a very good way.
I want to make one complaint here, and I want to do it now instead of at the end, because I want to talk about how great the end was when we get to the end. But, as much as I loved the main event angle, the show does not need a 9-minute overrun.
No.
Do you understand? I already have to watch 3 hours of Raw, and I already have to watch 2 hours of SmackDown. And I see they've clearly lost. Do you understand? Like, they're getting killed by AEW. This is not like a close head-to-head battle. They're losing, okay? You don't need the 9-minute overrun. I mean, the numbers after week 4 have made it abundantly clear that this overrun ain't helping. You know what I'm saying? So can we stop making the fans suffer with 9 extra minutes? Just do your show in 2 hours like any other competent organization anywhere in the world. Get in, get out, and we can all move on and be excited for the next week. That's my speech. Now back to Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. An excellent battle.
They did a collar and elbow tie-up. They did a long test of strength. They had a battle for a vertical suplex. They did an abdominal stretch. Like, the only thing in this match that you would not have seen on, Superstars, frankly, is the picture-in-picture commercial break. And also Rhea's new finisher, the Indian Deathlock with the arms, which apparently is called the Mare's Grasp.
Don't look at me, dude.
Isn't a mare a horse?
Well, you can't call her a stud, so she's got to be a mare.
I see.
That's what I think's going on.
I was trying to figure out how a mare could grasp anything. So Io attacks...
Well, if you call a guy a stud, I mean, a horse can't lift dudes. I guess a horse can. It carries dudes, but it's not going to lift a guy. You know what I mean?
What move? Is there a stud's grasp I'm not familiar with?
No, but people call guys studs all the time. There's a reference to a horse. But it's not because they clip-clop.
All I'm saying, Brian, is that horses can't do submission holds. This move needs to do
but the point is she's the mare.
Well, then she shouldn't do submission holds.
It's the mare's whatever.
She should stomp and kick them.
Oh my God, get out of here. Should she wear a saddle?
You're the one calling her a mare.
They did. That's the name of her hold.
So Io jumps Rhea, the mare, on the floor.
That's a big compliment, by the way. To call her a mare.
I realize this.
Yes. Okay. It's the female version of a stud.
A powerful, strong animal.
Yes.
Yes. So Io attacks the big, powerful, strong animal on the floor, throws it into the ring where Bianca has a spear for a great near fall. And then Candice attacks Io, and while this is going on, Rhea hits the most devastating move in pro wrestling history, the pump handle slam, for the win. This is very, very, very good pro wrestling. It was good action, it was good pacing, it was good booking. I loved everything about this.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Rhea Ripley is great. Bianca Belair is great. The best, compliment that I can give this match is, do you know how many times I've seen two women get in there and do the dramatic lockup? And it's so corny. Like, they lock up, and then, they fall belly first on the mat, and then they roll under the ropes, and they keep doing the lockup outside, and it's like, this is so fake. Like, whoever came up with this and whoever's doing it has never been an athletic endeavor in their lives. These two did the fight over the lockup, and it felt real. I was like, they may be shooting. They're trying to push each other from one corner to the other. Neither can do it.
That's right.
That's great. I loved it.
Kathy interviews Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate earlier today.
Tyler Bate's just randomly back. This guy just comes and goes.
So's Pete Dunne, for that matter.
Now, Pete Dunne's kind of a regular now.
He has been for a while, but before that. He'd not been seen for months, and he just showed up one day. And,
sure, yeah.
So, they're a great pair. Because she asks Pete Dunne about the way Damian Priest won, which was cheating. He hit him low. And Dunne just has no problem with that. And Bates taken aback. He hits you low. And Pete just shrugs. I'm not going to make any excuses. He beat me. Because
he's also a cheater.
Pete Dunne's the kind of guy
Yes.
who, if necessary, and if the opportunity presented itself, would also hit a guy in the balls and pin him. Now, he did promise there was a receipt coming. Then Kathy asked him about Killian Dane, and Pete Dunne said, I don't care about Killian Dane. Pete Dunne's pretty great. Tommaso Ciampa hype video.
God, this Crown Jewel commercial in the middle of NXT. It's like, man, oh man. They don't need any main roster commercials on this show. Like, forget Crown Jewel. I mean, the Crown Jewel, it's bad enough that Crown Jewel is being advertised on the show, but they don't need anything to remind me of the main roster on this show. If you're going to do commercials or video packages or whatever, it should all be NXT stuff. I do not want to hear about the upcoming WWE pay-per-view on NXT when nobody from NXT is going to be on that pay-per-view.
Tommaso Ciampa hype video. How he had to forfeit his title, deal with his injury, and he got depressed. Wondered if he'd ever come back. But it's his life and his legacy to determine. He tells Goldie that Daddy is home. Tyler Bate is shown in the crowd. Matt Riddle versus Cameron Grimes. I have one negative thing to say, and it's not actually even about this match. It's about WWE programming as a whole. But I have been trained from these shows now. Whenever the action slows for more than like 2 seconds, I expect it to be a commercial break. So I am now upset about commercial breaks even when they don't happen. So Matt Riddle and Cameron Grimes had a goddamn great match.
How many times has Matt Riddle just stolen the show on this program? It's like every single time.
I know I've said this before, but it bears repeating. I don't think there's anyone else, certainly that I watch regularly now, who is worth watching for every single second of the match. Even when, quote unquote, nothing is happening, watch Matt Riddle. Because his basic strikes are awesome, his wrestling is awesome, his selling is awesome. Whatever is happening in a Matt Riddle match, it is worth your time to check it out.
This was interesting because they do the Goldberg.
The fans were chanting
They're chanting Riddle's name with the Goldberg cadence.
Yes.
And he does a jackhammer.
Yes.
Which he's been doing here and there. And all I can tell you, from not talking to Matt Riddle or Goldberg, but from talking to people that know Matt Riddle and Goldberg, like, there's something going on here between these two men.
Did you see the Goldberg special?
I did not.
Okay. We mentioned,
but the footage is on there.
I watched it.
Okay.
So he has a brief little confrontation. It's nothing. It's not like a pushing or shoving or anything. It's a little tense conversation, and they agree to talk later. But in the context of the Goldberg special, having it in there makes zero sense. And there's no one doing any narration or graphics or subtitles to let you know what's going on. If you are just a Goldberg fan, and you're like an old Nitro fan who wants to see what Goldberg's up to now, you watch the show, you would have no idea who this long-haired goof with a baseball cap was, why he's on the show in the first place. So the only reason they put it in there is to set up something.
Well, my point is this. I legitimately believe that Matt Riddle and Goldberg would not ever hang out together.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
But I believe that probably Paul Heyman, and I don't know that, but this seems right up his alley. Mm-hmm. Somebody knows that this is money. And so both men have been encouraged, probably more Riddle than Goldberg, to continue on with this. And whoever it is, probably Paul Heyman, I'm sure figures it doesn't matter how much these guys don't like each other. If the money's right, they'll do business. And we need to make these people want this match. And they're doing that.
Yes, mission accomplished.
I don't know if they're going to get this match, but they're working on it.
I will add to that a little PS. Paul Heyman also all over the Goldberg special. So these dots are connecting. So regardless, there is one complaint about the match, and it's not their fault, but Grimes, like Riddle's down on the ground behind Grimes, and Grimes does a backflip into a German suplex, which is awesome. They go right to the commercial break, and when they come back, Riddle's already making his comeback. Again, we missed all the heat. That sucks. The good news is everything after this match was just ridiculously great. There's an insane series of counters. They go back and forth and back and forth. Everything looks awesome by both dudes. And finally, Riddle hits the power bomb, the final flash knee strike, and the bro Derek, which is like a package pile driver slam thing. A great match. A great match.
So Riddle wants a fist bump afterwards. Grimes won't give it to him, so Riddle turns and he gives Tyler Bate in the front row the fist bump.
Yeah.
And Grimes gets mad. Grimes shoves Bate. Bate knocks him out. Nigel claims this was an unprovoked attack by Bate. I don't know why Nigel McGuinness has to be a heel, but he's pretty good.
He's great. I was thrilled with that. And then when Morrow points out it was not unprovoked, Cameron Grimes shoved him. And Nigel says, oh, it wasn't that hard.
So anyway, they're doing the Cameron Grimes Tyler Bate match next week.
Great.
I presume Grimes wins because boy did he look like a geek after this segment here.
Certainly did.
He needs to get his heat back.
We had a Dominic Dijakovic sit-down promo.
What in God's name was this?
Horrible is what it was, Brian.
He sits there and he goes, my bloodline means everything to me, and I have promised my family a title. I'm like, your bloodline? What?
All the Dijakovics.
Are you like some... What do you mean your bloodline?
I don't know.
Do you even know how bloodline works? The answer is it really doesn't work. There's no Dijakovics back in the 12th century that he can trace his lineage from. I guess you could, like if you were crazy. No offense to people that do that sort of thing, but I mean, come on. His lineage, his bloodline. He changed his name.
A few times, as I recall.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So what do you think was worse, his content or his delivery?
Both.
His delivery was terrible, very wooden. I was significantly less into Dominic Dijakovic in the 15 seconds it took to air this. Earlier today, and on YouTube,
I could trace my bloodline back to Alexander the Great. As could 95% of the people in this country. That's my bloodline. Anyway.
what a random rant.
It's just funny. It's bloodline. That was the weirdest word I ever heard on a WWE show. My bloodline.
Dude, it's been 7 days since Incandescent.
No, this is way weirder. My bloodline?
I don't know.
Even the Viking Warriors have never talked about their bloodline.
Earlier today on YouTube, William Regal announced Tegan Knox and Dakota Kai would face Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke, and the winners of that match will get a title shot against the Kabuki Warriors.
I haven't seen Marina and Jessamine on TV in I don't even know how long. And they haven't won on television since November 2018, and they're here in a number one contenders match.
Almost a year later.
Listen, no matter what you think about the wins and losses and such in AEW, this is the worst. They haven't won since November 2018, and they're in a number one contenders match?
I legit thought you were going to say they have not won on TV, because that would not.
I found one.
Okay,
but I had to search.
What a deep cut.
I think it's the only one. It's not just so far back, it may be the only one.
Breezango and Isaiah Scott versus the Forgotten Sons.
Here's the highs and lows, okay? Mm-hmm. The highs are, I said last week, after they did that match with Swerve Scott, that somebody had to recognize how over the guy was and do something with him. Lo and behold.
Indeed.
They're doing something with him. Not only did they bring him back, he got the win.
I know, it's shocking.
Now the lows. They got to get rid of these Forgotten Sons.
They've had a chance, man.
This crowd was so hot from the moment this show opened. They loved everything. Everybody out there, every match, they're molten lava for everything. They love Swerve Scott. They love Breezango. These Forgotten Sons get the heat, and this place dies. It's a crypt. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm with you.
You must cut bait on these guys.
Yes.
I don't want them to be fired. I don't want anyone to lose their job. But take them off TV for 6 months, cut their hair off, get a new gimmick, pretend this never happened, and try again.
There you go. That's
It's been well over a year.
Yes.
I still don't know which guy is which.
All I know is they got the heat during the break, which did not do them any favors. And so we didn't get to see them get the heat, but we got to see them do a long series of chin locks.
Oh, Brutal.
Do they know there is a Wednesday night war going on?
Not only that, they went to a 4-minute commercial and came back for the rest holds on the mat. Can't you do that during the break if you have to do a rest hold during your match?
So, since there was nothing going on in the match, we got this week's Pearls of Wisdom with Beth Phoenix. Riker describes his offense as a vulgar display of savagery. That's what she said.
It's better than the incandescent line last week.
I don't believe her.
It's low praise.
I don't believe Jackson Riker sat down before her and said, the thing about my offense, it's a vulgar display of savagery. Bullshit.
Vulgar, you say.
Vulgar display of savagery. Fandango still makes a great comeback. Something with one of the sons, Blake and or Cutler, got fucked up.
I didn't even know one of them was Cutler.
You're going to say Murphy?
The fans used to chant, which one's Blake, which one's Murphy, okay?
Yeah.
At least they knew that one was Blake and one was Murphy. Not only can I not tell these two apart, I don't even know who they are to tell them apart. One's Blake
Yeah.
and the other's Cutler?
Cutler. You may recall Blake from his prior team where they said, which one's Blake? Well, you said,
I remember that,
yeah.
but I don't know Cutler.
He is now in 2 teams where no one can remember who he is.
You know what's the worst? I'm a huge fan of Jackson Riker. He is being dragged down by these two dudes. His whole role in this match was to be something that Swerve could do a moonsault off of.
That was it.
He's literally now an inanimate object.
Swerve did a moonsault off his chest to the floor. He does this big giant dive off of Riker's chest, and then Breezango hits a double super kick and makes a cover, and whoever it was kicked out, and the air goes out of the room. And then immediately later, Scott hit the a Shining Wizard. I described it as a Shining Wizard back kick. Trust me on this one, it makes sense. And he got the pin. This match was very boring in the middle, and it was too long at the end, but hey, they are trying something with Swerve.
Yeah, Swerve was the highlight of this match.
Yes.
Fandango only did his sunset flip gimmick for like 2 seconds and then punched the guy. Sad.
Roderick Strong did a badly scripted promo about Regal putting him in with 2 big goofs, but he's at his best when the spotlight is on. This was
All I could think is that picture that we took at my wedding with me in the middle and you and Craig flanking me.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was the main event.
That actually was. That's a strong comparison.
Yeah.
But this was better than the Dijakovic promo, and that's about the best I can say.
I
Leo
almost tweeted that picture, but I changed my mind.
Leo Rush comes out. He did commentary for the next match, but first,
God bless him, but he was horrible.
he had nothing to add. Yeah. We did get a video of Killian Dane saying Dunn had tried to break his fingers.
And his fingers are taped up.
Yes.
The only man in history to actually sell it.
That's astonishing. And so he's going to break you. Angel Garza versus Jack Gallagher in a match that was every bit as wacky as it sounds.
All I know is it's one of those things that I'm so obviously right, but they're just not going to change it. 205 Live is still on Fridays, even though the 205 Live guys are wrestling on Wednesdays.
So it's no longer live.
No, the point is, nobody who goes to SmackDown cares about 205 Live.
I see, yes.
So why does 205 Live air after SmackDown?
The
205 Live guys are on NXT. Why not just do 205 Live before or after NXT? It makes no sense.
A better question would be, why do 205 Live at all?
That's another good question.
It's now the NXT Cruiserweight Champion.
Yeah,
just put them all on the NXT. You got an extra hour every week anyway.
So Leo's doing commentary.
He is horrible.
And my favorite moment is Leo's watching. He's just making a couple of generic comments. And finally he goes, I am loving this match. And Maranello goes, why? And there's a long pause. And Leo has no answer to the question. He stated that he was loving this match, okay? He's asked why, he can't come up with an answer. And finally he mumbles, well, Angel Garza's taking this match. I'm taking notes. What?
My favorite Leo Rush comment in the match is, Morrow is talking about Gallagher training at the Snake Pit.
That was a good one as well.
And he asks Leo about the Snake Pit. And Leo says, that sounds interesting.
I thought you were going to do the line where Jack Gallagher does a delayed vertical suplex, displaying his strength on Angel Garza. And Leo Rush says, must be that Snake Pit strength. What?
I promise you he had never heard of the Snake Pit until he sat next to Morrow with a headset on.
The Snake Pit strength, that vertical delayed suplex.
As a snake would do.
Yes.
So
As anyone in the fucking Snake Pit would do.
the highs in this match were very high. The lows were pretty dang low. Eventually Garza won with a Quebrada.
I liked the match. I mean, it was kind of just there, but I liked it. And then, yes, so it appears that Leo Rush will defend against Angel Garza, who got killed by Tommaso Ciampa a week ago.
Cool.
I'd prefer win-loss records actually in NXT, because this is getting ridiculous.
Dakota Kai and Tegan Knox versus Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke. It will apparently be until next November, which I guess is a month away. Anyway, Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke lost quickly. They did a 2-minute developmental tag team match. Tegan Knox, I know she likes Kane. She needs to stop doing choke slams. They're horrible. She pinned Duke with the shiniest wizard.
I think the bigger issue is it's ridiculous. Why is she choke slamming people?
Because she likes Kane is the answer. It can be done. Hurricane did
Does she like Kane? Is that a fact? Or you just...
I assume every time she does it, they talk about it as a tribute to Kane.
Okay, well, that's weird.
It can be done. The Hurricane did 1 billion choke slams and it got over.
Well, yeah, but that was because it was like a comedy gimmick.
Anyway.
Afterwards, Tegan and Dakota, they're facing the Kabuki Warriors. The Kabuki Warriors end up on the screen.
Yes.
They cut this promo in Japanese, and then Kairi, just the cutest thing, aside from my 2 children and my wife, in the cutest voice, says, "You have no chance."
Next week.
Next week.
It is like it's like a video game character. It's like you got to press the A button to get to the next line of dialogue.
I
Next
cannot hate her.
You have no chance. Yes.
I loved her more after this promo.
It was funny because it's like a 1-minute-long promo, and until that line, it's all in Japanese. But you can tell, even in Japanese, these women do not sweat. Tegan Knox and Dakota Kai.
You don't say.
Our third horrible sit-down promo to hype the main event. I guess was the best one. It's Keith Lee, obviously. Opportunity has finally arrived to do everything with every fiber of his being to seize it.
Sounds like a fortune cookie.
Sorta, actually. Kathy runs down next week's card. The Kabuki Warriors versus Tegan Knox and Dakota Kai. Tyler Bate versus Cameron Grimes. And Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae. And then it's time for the main event. Keith Lee versus Dominic Dijakovic versus Roderick Strong. Each guy got his own entrance. Each guy got his introduction. The bell rang. 60 seconds later, they go to commercial. Screw you! Don't waste my time! So I was in a bad mood. So for like 10 minutes, they're doing stuff, but it's just killing time on TV. And then I think it was Dijakovic has Roddy in the corner, and Keith Lee is definitely the bottom of the pile. And they do a Tower of Doom spot, but they attempted to have Keith Lee standing there holding Dijakovic, who would be holding Roddy up in a long delayed vertical suplex. It happened, I guess, technically for like half a second before the whole thing just collapsed.
Well, he couldn't quite get him all the way vertical, and if he were standing, he could like move around a little to get his balance.
Yes.
But he's sitting on Keith Lee.
Yes.
So the whole tower falls down, and Keith Lee did everything in his power, the operative word being power, to prevent these men from dying. And in doing so, he fell out of the ring and almost killed himself. Fans went. I've never seen... I swear to God, I just thought of this. I don't think in all of the time that I've been watching wrestling, which is going on 33 years now, I don't think I've ever seen fans pop bigger for a terrible botch.
For something that went horribly wrong.
Horribly wrong. It was a disaster, and they went ballistic, and they showed us 4 replays.
Yeah. Then they went right to commercial, which pissed me off for a second time. Not even a picture-in-picture commercial, even though I skipped those anyway. Now, the good news is, this had been a pretty forgettable match up to that point. But once they came back for commercial, it was just on. They were busting their ass, and the place was going nuts for everything. Eventually, the Giants double-teamed this little twerp to death on the outside so they could settle things between themselves and the ring. The place is just going nuts for this. At one point, Dijakovic hits a choke bomb. I think it was actually an avalanche choke bomb off the ropes.
The avalanche choke bomb.
Yes. Usually, when WWE does replays of someone falling from a great height, they show it in super slow-mo right up to the point they start to go down and then go regular speed. This one, they actually showed it in slow-mo all the way down because that made it very clear just how high the massive Keith Lee bounced off of this choke bomb. That was very cool. Dijakovic did his completely out-of-control Fosbury dive. Keith Lee did a vastly superior cannonball dive. And finally, they're up top, and Lee, I think it literally catches him and hits an avalanche sit-down powerbomb off the top rope.
Actually, that's not what happened.
Right.
And I wasn't going to mention this, but since you messed up what happened, I guess I have to. So, what's going to happen is Keith Lee is going to give him a powerbomb off the middle rope, okay? So, it starts with Keith Lee sitting on the middle rope. Somehow, Dijakovic needs to be sitting on his shoulders for this powerbomb. They couldn't come up with any ideas. So literally, I'm not making this up. Go back and watch it. Dijakovic just slowly climbs the ropes and climbs Keith Lee and sits on his shoulders, at which point Keith Lee goes for the powerbomb.
Well, Brian, I'm sure Dijakovic was going to debut his first ever top rope Hurricane Rana.
That's clearly what was going to happen.
Yes, and then he was overpowered by Keith Lee, which is understandable, that part. So Lee hits this big giant power bomb, but as soon as he lands, Roderick Strong, who's been vanished for several minutes on the outside, zips into the ring, hits the knee to the head, gets the pin. Second half of this match was awesome. Took a while to get going, but man, that second half.
So there's something about this match where it kind of reminded me of a Goldberg match in the sense that it was really sloppy and a lot of the stuff was like really ugly and there was like fear that someone could be killed at any time. Like the power bomb, this Fosbury flop dive by Dijakovic was just horrific. Just so much stuff was so ugly, but it made it great.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't want Keith Lee, Roderick Strong, and Dominic Dijakovic to be pretty. I want it to be like King Kong, Godzilla, and like a biplane, which is what this match was.
Yeah, sort of.
That's what I wanted.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that's what I got. It was great.
So Undisputed Era comes out to celebrate with their man, who won clean. Clean as a sheet, Roderick Strong did. They're so happy they decided to celebrate by stomping a mud hole in Keith Lee. The crowd demands Finn Balor come out, but they get Tommaso Ciampa instead. Undisputed Era are fine with this. There's still 4 of them and 1 of him. Ciampa's got a crutch, but so what? So he comes out to fight, but before he can, out comes Johnny Gargano. We're all going to see what happens, and he shares a tense stare down with Tommaso Ciampa, but they agree to fight side by side, and then Finn Balor's music hits. And it's like nothing I've seen in Full Sail ever, the reaction he got for this music. The fans wanted him to come out and fight so badly. And I guess, technically, they got that, because he got in the ring, and he stood by Johnny and Tommaso, and he took a step forward, and he dropped Johnny with a Pele kick. Undisputed Era immediately zoomed in and swarmed Ciampa, as if they knew this was going to happen. There's one fan screaming at Finn to go to hell. He does a big giant dive, wipes out Johnny and the row of plants sitting behind the guardrail right there. And then in a very terrifying thing, he gave him the 1916 on the ramp.
Ah,
That was very scary.
remember last week when Daniels got dropped on his head on the metal?
Yeah.
I have absolutely no idea how Gargano is alive. Because the angle they shot this at, He landed right on his head on the metal and was dead.
Yeah.
They stretchered him out afterwards, and
If he is, I assume he's totally fine. But if he's totally
I presume,
fine,
I don't even know.
he needs to not be on TV until 2020. This was that violent.
I texted like literally a half dozen people last night. It asked, "Is Gargano alive? Is Gargano okay? Is Gargano alive?" Nobody got back to me. I presume he's alive. I'm pretty sure we'd have heard by now.
Yeah.
But my God, that was so scary. And Finn Balor turning. I didn't see it coming.
I didn't see it coming, and we'll see where it goes.
Listen, it was a great turn in execution, but
Why?
why didn't we do him with the baby faces doing a War Games, him fighting alongside Gargano and Ciampa, him fighting all the different members of Undisputed Era, then he turns heel.
Yeah, exactly. Every match he has here is a fresh match. He's the biggest star they have. You teased him versus Adam Cole last week just by having him show up. He could climb the ladder, fight all the other guys in the Undisputed Era first. There's a million matches you could have done with Finn before turning him. And the fact they did this here, it came off to me as a barely informed viewer watching this from afar. It came off to me as if they know they're losing a war and they got desperate.
That's because that's what happened.
They got desperate and did this just not because they had a plan, but because they thought maybe it'll pop a rating.
I presume that is what happened. I mean, Adam Cole didn't even know the guy was going to show up until like the day of, if I recall correctly. So they just did something which got people talking in the 9-minute overrun and did 690,000 viewers. A bad number. So maybe, as we've said for weeks now, quit worrying about the show on the other channel and just do your show, which involves not doing a 9-minute overrun and not freaking out and turning anybody, especially Velveteen Dream is hurt. When they had the stare down, it was 4 heels and 3 baby faces, one of whom turned heel. Like, we don't got enough top baby faces right now.
No.
We don't need another heel. We got 10,000 heels on this show. So, yeah, I liked the show. Thought it was a very, very good show.
Not been a bad show yet.
I had some questions.
Since they went to 2 hours. We also watched AEW Dynamite, October 23rd, 2019.
A Dynamite program.
It was. Private Party versus the Lucha Brothers in a tag team tournament semifinal. So no entrances for either team. They did do intros in the ring, and they did this match. All right. I am going to be the grumpy old man here.
Well, I can't wait to hear this.
Listen, all of the athleticism was beyond awesome, especially the Lucha Brothers. There was actually a point late in the match where the Private Party, because they've been going a million miles an hour for 15 minutes, they actually got blown up, and the Lucha Brothers did not, which should tell you what machines the Lucha Brothers are. Well,
Private Party right now is working maybe 1 match a week. Mm-hmm. The Lucha Brothers are they're doing 10 matches.
Yes, that's part of it. So, listen, if you're not going to have tags, just don't have tags in the match. Just say the Lucha Brothers, call it Lucha Libre rules or Mexican rules. When they're in there, there's just no tags. Because they kind of sort of half-assed paid attention to the tag rules in this match, and it just made no sense, and it made things much worse.
Okay. Allow me to somewhat defend this.
Sure.
Okay. So, a couple of weeks, well, actually last week. Last week on the show, there's a bunch of tag matches. And people are just tagging, like, one guy was...
There was the tag on the apron.
There was a tag on the apron. One guy made a tag while the other guy was inside the ring.
Yes.
Okay. So, long story short, they knew that this needed to change. And so, I don't know... Let me make this abundantly clear. I don't know for sure that they had a meeting before the show and told everybody you need to start obeying the tag team rules. But my gut is I'm pretty sure that they did, okay? Because for the most part of this show, everybody was holding the tag rope. Everybody was making legal tags. They were pointing out... Jim Ross kept talking about the tag rope being used. I mean...
Well, kind of pointing out it was not being used, but...
I was given the impression that starting this week, everybody was going to follow the tag rules. because last week was ridiculous, okay? Now, the problem here is the Lucha Brothers, okay? The Lucha Brothers, they get booked everywhere. They're big stars. They have a tendency to do whatever the hell they want.
Yes.
Okay?
And I would add, they're flown in to do what they do.
Yes.
So
my point is, like, they do every gimmick in the book. The I don't understand, I don't speak English, the whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So you can tell the Lucha Brothers, you can insist that they do the tag rules, okay? And they're going to do what they're going to do.
Yes.
So you really have two choices. You can either, like, fire them, which you're not going to
stupid
fire.
idea.
It's a stupid idea. Or you just, every week, keep asking them, will you please make legal tags, blah, 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 and hope that eventually they'll do it. These are really your only options.
I still like my idea.
Or I mean, you can do that, but it's like, that gets too confusing, where if you're the Lucha Brothers, you have your own rules. That's what they do with Lucha House Party. And that sucked.
Well, not wrong there.
So anyway.
So I'm watching this, and the Lucha Brothers, early in the match, are double teaming one dude. For like 2 minutes, there's two guys in the ring, which is fine. It's all cool double teams, but then I get a shot over their shoulder, and the other dude is on the apron, holding the tag rope, reaching in for a tag, and I'm like,
Yes.
get in the ring, dipshit!
Just,
I have no sympathy for you or your dumb friend. This went on for a while. They took turns doing that. There's a point later in the match where I need to learn their names. I apologize to them. But whichever guy, I think it was the guy with the tails.
Mark Quinn has the tails.
Mark Quinn has the tails. He does like, they have the heat on him. He's going to get a hot tag. For some reason, I don't know why they're waiting for a tag. But first, before he must make the hot tag, he must do like 9 flips.
Yes.
and then make a hot tag. So they did a bunch of cool stuff. Now, I will say, Phoenix's tightrope running kick, when whichever one it was like draped on the ropes or draped on Pentagon's shoulders, and Phoenix literally runs across the top rope like Spider-Man and does a running kick. That was unbelievable. And there were 2 or 3 other just completely spectacular things here. The Lucha Brothers eventually hit the arm breaker and a foot stomp package pile driver, and the place just went nuts, just went absolutely crazy. My advice is, if you have not watched this show yet, I mean, you should watch. It's a good match. You should watch the match. If you're pressed for time and you don't have time to watch the match, you must watch the highlight package, because the highlight package was an easy 5 stars.
Watched the whole match. I thought it was great. The fans loved it. There's obviously, dude, everybody, for the most part, well, I mean, everybody in this match, and a lot of people in AEW, they all came from the indies. And you're working X number of different companies per week. Every company's different. The fans just want to see what they want to see. They want to see the stars. They don't care if the Lucha Brothers are tagging or not, whatever, okay? But now, everybody is in AEW. It's one promotion. It runs every Wednesday on TNT, and there need to be rules. Now, if you watch the show on week 4 as compared to week 1, I mean, it's very clear to me that they are trying to get everybody on the same page. We're not there yet, but they're trying.
They're trying.
They're trying to explain the rules to us. They're trying to get the people to all do like the same set of rules. It's going to take a while, especially with the Lucha Brothers, but they're trying. And, you know, this was a match that the fans went crazy for. They loved every second of it. There was not one rest hold in this match.
No, that's no.
In fact, I didn't really check.
I think the rest hold is when you punch instead of doing a dive. That was the rest hold here.
If somebody wants to check, I would love to know. I don't think there was one armbar or chin lock, like traditional rest hold. I don't think there was one in any of the matches on AEW. Not a single one.
I would be surprised.
I don't think there was one in any of the matches.
Maybe.
Because the reality is it's 2019 and you don't need to do a rest hold.
Yeah.
The fans were into this from start to finish. They were losing their minds. I know that there are people in WWE who are kind of irritated because, you know, everybody compares Private Party to the Street Profits. It's like almost impossible not to.
Sure.
Both teams, very athletic. They do the party gimmick. One has red cups. One has a bouncer. It's very similar. So everyone makes comparisons. There are people in WWE that are upset that, like, God, our team is better. But these guys are like, everyone's talking. Yes, everyone's talking about Private Party because they're very green, but AEW is out there trying to make them stars.
Yes.
They're putting him in there. They're beating the Young Bucks. They're putting him in there. They're going toe-to-toe with the Lucha Brothers. The fans love them. Like, to the AEW fans right now, they're stars. Now, WWE is having to play catch-up with the Street Profits because they brought him up to Raw and had him host the show backstage for 2 months. And then by the time they wrestle, this Private Party is already over. So anyway, point of this is, they're green, match was fun, crowd loved every bit of it, they thought all the guys were stars, I thought it was a home run.
We have a hype video for a very generic muscular fella named Wardlow.
Do you remember Mr. Wardlow?
This isn't him.
No.
We had a phys ed teacher at Canyon Park Junior High.
Mr. Wardlow.
He was
It looked like this guy, kinda.
It's not him.
He was a big Frankenstein-looking guy.
He was a big Frankenstein-looking guy. He actually was like played tight end for the University of Washington, got drafted to the NFL, and then ended up coaching at Canyon Park.
So many
High.
stories I'd love to tell about Mr. Wardlow, but I don't consider him enough of a public figure to tell these stories on the air.
I agree. Regardless, I'm watching this, and like, he's a big guy, but in the world of pro wrestling, he wasn't that big. And he's not that charismatic, and his name is Wardlow.
Well, we don't know yet. We just saw a generic video package.
Generic is the key word.
I don't know what they're going to do with Wardlow.
You could have grabbed any guy at pretty much any Gold's Gym in the country and made this video and it would come out exactly the same. I was underwhelmed by the Wardlow video. Chris Daniels, after the package pile driver on the ramp, we were told will miss 6 to 8 weeks. The other tag team tournament semifinal, SCU versus the Dark Order.
This was another one. So Jim Ross is going on and on about how in AEW, the rules are that when you make a tag, you have 10 seconds to get out of the ring, not just 5. Because I guess they want the guys to be able to do more double team moves and everything like that. Nobody's paying any attention to this rule.
So,
work in progress.
This is my first exposure to the Dark Order. I knew they had won the bye. I had not seen them before. I am a fan.
What do you think of this? Uno. Evil Uno.
Evil Uno has, I mean this as a compliment. He has such a wonderfully ugly body. Just a shirtless, lumpy guy in a mask out there. But he can work. So they've got, it's the Dark Order. The gimmick is like straight out of Chikara. There's one guy who's got like a scary lizard mask on, and one guy who's dressed like a skinny Viking warrior, and they've got minions. Creepers, I think is what the guy said. There's an army of like half-human masked crawling dudes all over the place. So they got this whole Dungeons and Dragons gimmick going on, and there's creepers, and the Dark Order, and one guy's named Evil Uno, and the unmasked man is named Stu. Stu Grayson.
Yes.
He couldn't have pulled off any Dungeons and Dragons manual of the past 40 years and turned to a random page and found a better name than Stu Grayson.
That's his name.
It actually made me like him more, to be honest. It made the whole thing that much wackier.
All I know is you're clearly not watching all of these pay-per-views and such to see the Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. Weren't you there for the pay-per-view that weren't on that pay-per-view you were at?
They came out and did like a sneak attack at the end of somebody,
Okay.
but they didn't do a match.
Well, the highlight of this match, well, there were a few highlights, but my favorite part of the match is they're getting the heat and nobody cares because the Dark Order is just not over. And out comes Jericho and his crew. Just like in the old days of Nitro.
Yeah, actually.
The difference was they didn't get in the ring and beat everybody up. They just came out and they went into the luxury box.
On the floor and then went up the stairs into the luxury box. And I point out this detail because that was a long ass walk.
Yes.
And that made the building seem enormous.
The reality is they distracted everybody from this match, but they did it during the heat.
Nothing was going on.
And then they got into the box, and then the guys got back to wrestling, and people got back into the match. So it was not a disaster. But anyway, Point is, Jericho's in the box and just all being annoying, being typical heels. Chris Jericho's got this thing of popcorn, and they cut to Jericho, and he throws a piece of popcorn in his mouth and he screams, "Come on, Dark Order!" Cried. I cried when Chris Jericho started to cheer on the most hated team in all of AEW. You know what I'm saying?
Dark Order.
People hate the Dark Order. Jericho's a fan. Come on, Dark Order. I died. He's the best heel.
It's early. It's maybe early to say, but there's a strong possibility that AEW Chris Jericho may be the best Chris Jericho.
I'm pretty sure it is.
So
I'm pretty sure it is. The crazy Chris Jericho from New Japan from a few years ago was a totally different kind of awesome, but this is by far my favorite Chris Jericho.
So the teams go back and forth for a long time. SCU to this cool double cutter into a double dragon sleeper spot. Well, not the finish, but they won shortly thereafter with, I believe it was called the SCU later.
Yeah.
One guy flips the other dude over into a facebuster or something. So, as expected, pretty much from the get-go, it is SCU versus the Lucha Brothers in the tournament finals.
Great.
Yeah.
If this were WWE, they would have shot that angle. You would have expected this to be the match, and then the Dark Order would have won.
Yes.
I like this way better.
Joey Janela versus Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
They show clips of Janela doing his hardcore deathmatch stuff with Moxley and Omega on the other two shows he did. Kenny is introduced as El Mega Campeón de AAA.
Yes. The AAA Super Mega Heavyweight title.
Still awesome.
I love that name.
As you should. And they show him winning the belt, which is much better than when he comes out here on the ramp and his record reads 1 and 2. Showing him pinning Rey Fenix for the Super Mega Heavyweight title is better. So they have an excellent professional wrestling match.
What I loved about it is the match they had on AEW Dark was a street fight.
And from what I hear,
unsanctioned
totally insane.
lights out match. Yeah. They did all of this crazy stuff.
I want to mention, it was an unsanctioned match, so the announcers were sure to clarify that does not count on either man's win-loss record.
Okay. So they have this unsanctioned match, and they show footage of it, and they explain, the match got over so big, we decided to give you the rematch here on TV. A straight match.
Yes.
I was like, hold on a second. This is not the same thing. This is a wrestling match. These two guys did a lights-out, crazy, unsanctioned match. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it was going to be bad, but I did not expect it to be as great as it ended up being.
Had a very, very good pro wrestling match. I'm watching Janela here. I'm trying to think of what to say about him. And JR summed him up better than I could have when he said, Joey Janela is a thinking man's wrestler. And it's true. It's true because Joey Janela, in the world of professional wrestling in 2019, of all the wrestlers working around the country, around the world, he's not very big. He doesn't have a very good body. He's, at best, average athletically, but he's way, way, way over for 3 reasons. He's got a lot of charisma. He knows when to do everything. This match is put together very, very well. And, of course, it helps. He's also completely insane.
He's completely insane.
And takes wacky bumps off the top rope to the apron for no reason.
I do have one thing. I hesitate to even say this, but I'm going to anyway. Joey Janela has this thing that he does. And once you see it, I don't think you can ever unsee it. So, let's just imagine that Keith Lee does a giant flip dive, a crazy flip dive to the outside. Wipes everybody out and the place goes crazy. And let's imagine Keith Lee puts his arms up and he goes like this, beckons with his fingers for cheers, okay? Joey Janela does that after every single...
Sure.
No, I'm talking every single move. There is not one move that he did in this match where he did not go like this for cheers afterwards. Now, to his credit, every time he did it, they cheered.
Sure.
But it actually was comedy by the end.
Right.
It was like, it's every time.
Well,
I was waiting for one move where he didn't do it.
I would say
It did not happen.
I would say that's the kind of thing that makes Joey Janela.
That does make him Joey Janela.
Yeah.
There's no one else who does that I can think of.
No. So he did take this incredibly stupid bump onto the apron for no reason. And the good news is it led right to the finish as Kenny hit the V trigger and the one-winged angel, and he won. That was a very, very good pro wrestling match here.
They both look like stars.
That's for
Omega
sure.
looked like a superstar.
That's the best way to put it. Janela looked like a true star, and Omega looked like a megastar.
You got to remember, like, when they kicked off on TNT, like, everybody who watches New Japan and whatever, everyone knew who Kenny Omega was. If you watch the pay-per-views and everything else, but, you know, there's a fair number of people watching TNT that have no idea who Omega, the Young Bucks, any of these guys are. And so the show starts literally on week 1, and, like, Kenny Omega's just, like, losing matches.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And the Young Bucks go out there. They lost a Private Party, which Dave had a huge problem with. I didn't have a problem with it. It's fine. Like, it's a marathon, not a sprint. But anyway, now it's like, we should get these guys over. Kenny Omega's out here tearing the house down. Young Bucks had a great match last week. They did their big challenge. They're starting to try and get these guys over that were already over. But you got to get them over to a new crowd.
So Cody makes his entrance.
Best thing on the show.
His entrance?
No, this segment.
Yeah. So yes, he's in the ring to be interviewed by Tony Schiavone. He is there to plug the... is it Full Gear, the name of the next show?
Yeah.
Yeah. His title match against Jericho. Jericho's name was thunderously booed.
Oh, it was great.
It was unanimous. There was not even a vocal minority. Every person of the tens of thousands in there hated Chris Jericho. And then they tease that Cody has some kind of big announcement to make. But before he can make it, Jericho and the Inner Circle interrupt with air horns and a microphone. So no one can hear what Cody is saying. Everyone's all very annoyed. And finally he turns to Jericho. Jericho now has a mic. He cuts a promo, runs down Cody. Cody says, "We can fight right now," makes some line about how...
I got to go over some of this because it's so great.
Right.
Cody says, "I know you bought your ticket and all, but this is not like that other company we both came from. There's no invisible wall right here. Place goes crazy." He buried the WWE.
That's right, yes.
They don't do too much of it, but they do like one every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And the place goes crazy every time. So he says, "I can step through these ropes, go up there, and fight you right here and now." Fans are going nuts chanting for Cody. Cody's like, Cody is the best babyface. Maybe tied with Tim Storm. But anyway, he's way up there. Jericho's the best heel. Jericho says, "Shut up, Pittsburgh. Cody, stay in that ring where you belong, because I know you're not going to come up here. You're a coward. You're an entitled, millennial little bitch." Jericho says this, and the best part is Cody's in the ring, and he's fuming now, being called a entitled millennial little bitch. But next to him is Tony Schiavone, and he buries his face in his hands. I can't believe Chris Jericho just said this. Cody jumps the rail. He starts to head up there, and Jericho says, "It's 4 of us and 1 of you. Now get out of here before I kick your ass." Dustin's music hits. Dustin comes down, stands next to his brother. Jericho says, "Well, it's still 4 on 2, so stay there."
He also makes fun of Cody for having Big Brother come out to help him.
Yes, be the cowards you've always been, you and your big brother. MJF's music hits. He comes out next. Jericho says, "Oh, I'm supposed to be afraid of a guy wearing a scarf? Who wears a scarf?"
Best line.
People are howling. "Ah, you wear a scarf!" He says, "It's still 4 on 3. Take your chances or get the hell out of here." And then of all people, out comes DDP.
It's 2019. Diamond Dallas Page, who was old when he broke in 30 years ago.
But looks great. He looks better now.
I'm sure he does.
physique.
Doing yoga every day.
Jericho is slack-jawed, as was I.
It was amazing. Jericho's reversal of mood.
Yeah. He's all cocky because he has the man advantage.
Yeah.
But the moment it's a fair fight, now
Panic.
he's very worried.
He's pissing himself.
Guys, he says, let's get out of here.
So as they're all coming down, the baby faces are all coming down the ramp, and then they go up the stairs to go up to this luxury box. They're all like together, and Paige passes MJF. And MJF looks at Paige, and he looks into the camera, and he does the diamond cutter sign, but does it upside down, which gives it a totally different meaning, and then winks. Like
He's the best.
Like, I'm going to fight with this guy, but he's a pussy. MJF is amazing. He's just amazing. So they go up the stairs, and it takes just as long for them to get up there as it took Jericho in the inner circle earlier. There is a back room to the skybox where they have sought refuge. It's like a panic room for the inner circle there. But there's a glass door, and Cody takes MJF's scarf, wraps it around his hand, punches out the door, opens it, and it's on.
And guess what? It's a 4-on-4 fight. It's a fair fight. And the baby faces beat their asses.
They beat their asses, and I'm not honestly totally sure why, but I have seen 1,000 concession stand brawls or concourse brawls on Raw over the past 20 years. None of them felt this out of control. This felt like an out of control fight where the good guys were whipping ass. It's all focused on Cody and Jericho. They brawl over to the Dippin' Dots, where I believe Cody gave Jericho a Dippin' Dots swirly at one point. Eventually, it's separated, and it's made clear because Cody is, in storyline, the executive vice president of the company. It's not his security breaking up the fight, it's the building.
Yes.
The building separates the fight, so this makes sense. Jericho is screaming they have tickets.
This is the best part. He is cocky. He is an asshole. He gets called on his bluff. He retreats like a coward. He gets his ass kicked. And then he cries, but I bought a ticket.
Yes.
So great.
This segment was the best thing on this show for sure. This is the Riddle match for the best thing on the night. Riddle match was a great wrestling match. This was a great wrestling thing. Angle, whatever you want to call it. The Young Bucks versus the Best Friends. Okay, I might be grumpy old man again. But first of all, they did this match as if the Bucks attacking Orange Cassidy, because Orange Cassidy is there as the Best Friends, essentially manager, cheerleader, bodyguard, whatever you want to call him. He's there in their corner, and the Bucks kick his ass. They get violently booed. When he interferes later, hits a big dive, he gets wildly cheered. So there is a point in this match. They get the heat on somebody, it doesn't matter. They go to commercial, and they come back in the first minute after the commercial break. The Bucks are running wild. They get cut off. They make a hot tag. They get cut off again. They make a comeback. They get cut off again. And then Chuck gets a hot tag. In 1 minute. So a bunch of stuff happened. A lot of it looked really cool. Trent in this match looked very good. He looked awesome. Eventually, here is where JR went in his rant. You see the tag ropes. That's why they're tag ropes. Hello. There's the big super kick party. Nick does a dive onto Orange Cassidy, and I think Chuck outside. To which Tony Schiavone says, what was Orange Cassidy doing? Riding his back? What the hell? I love Tony Schiavone.
Tony loves his job.
He absolutely loves his job.
Yes.
But he's also often very confused. He's having a lot of fun, but he rarely knows what's going on. And Orange Cassidy has him bewildered. Eventually, the Young Bucks hit more bang for your buck, and they got the finish. The crowd loved the finish. They were kind of going in and out of the match, mainly because they couldn't decide who to cheer for. And then Nick cut a short but very good promo. Matt cut a short but very good promo, accepting the challenge of Santana and Ortiz.
This is why I think there had to have been a meeting before the show, because Ross was very annoyed by this tag rope thing. Mm-hmm. So I presume that like everybody must have been told, you gotta hold the tag rope. And when people weren't doing it, he was irritated. That's what I think happened. I don't know, but that's my presumption.
Had a Britt Baker hype video, which included, if you don't blink, Adam Cole's AEW debut.
Yes.
He talked about her dentistry and working so hard to go to school. and her wrestling and all this. It was a really good video, and I also like the song they played. And then we got Jamie Hayter versus Britt Baker, accompanied in her hometown of Pittsburgh by the Pittsburgh Steelers mascot, Steely.
Total heel face on that guy.
You would think.
I was expecting him to turn on her.
So the crowd was totally into this at first.
It did go too long.
It fell apart. It went too long. Remember when I said Tegan Knox needs to stop doing choke slams? Britt Baker needs to stop doing sling blades. She did 2 or 3. They all looked horrible. Both women looked blown up. They're doing near falls at the end, and these gals are just like, 1, 2, I'll lift a shoulder. I don't want to kick out, I'm tired. Eventually, Britt hit a super kick and one with lockjaw, and the place went crazy. That was a great moment, and miracle of miracles, the popular babyface got the big win in their hometown, which is wonderful. That made me so happy.
Well, I mentioned this on Observer Live today, but I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but professional wrestling is fake.
Stop it.
Yes, you heard me right. So the point of this is you're able to manipulate things. You know what I'm saying?
I sure do.
Okay. So the reality is they want to push Britt Baker as a big-time superstar. They love her. She's a dentist on the side.
Great gimmick. She has a great look.
So they want to get her over. Okay. Well, as coincidence would have it, or not, they happen to be in Britt Baker's hometown this week. So they put everything they got behind Britt Baker's homecoming. They have her come out here with Steely. The fans chant Britsburg.
They're all waving yellow towels.
She sells. Yes, the match was way too long. I'll get to that in a moment. But the point is, she sells. She makes a big comeback. The place goes crazy. She wins, and they go nuts. Okay? So, because it's fake, you can have her win in her hometown.
I follow you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by doing that, if you don't have any idea who this Britt Baker is, you just started watching AEW week 1, week 2, week 3, or whatever, you have no idea who she is. You watch this show and it's like, oh man, she's a huge star. She's a huge superstar. That's what you would think watching this show. Because they manipulated things so that she happened to be there in her hometown and she got a big win and she got a God's reaction. And so, boom, now you've got a top babyface here on this program. For the people that lived in Pittsburgh, they go home happy. Britsburg won. Everything is great. There is no downside to a babyface winning in their hometown. It's not like, well, Jamie Hayter could beat her and then she'll come back to Pittsburgh next week, sell it out, and get the win. That's not how wrestling works nowadays. I don't even know when they're going to be back in Pittsburgh. But every time the WWE beats somebody in their hometown, by the time they come back to that town, nobody even remembers. They probably just remember they were pissed off when they left. They don't remember who beat the hometown guy. Who beat Bayley in her hometown last? Anybody remember?
Everyone, I assume.
Yeah. But anyway, the point was, the match didn't need to go this long. That's one of the things. I just feel like you should be able to look, and if you have a match and it's clearly featuring someone who's green and Britt is green, 4 minutes.
That's plenty.
Go in there, get the huge pop, sell for 2 minutes, big comeback, win, everybody's happy. That's it. Don't need to put in time if putting in time is going to be a negative to the match.
So there you go. The main event is Jon Moxley versus Pac.
With TV time remaining.
TV time remaining. And I should point out, earlier on the show, in fact, I think during the opener it was, Jim Ross, because they announce 10 minutes remaining in each match as the time continues to go down. No one's come close to a time limit draw before. But Jim Ross is talking about how, like any other sport you see, there's a clock you have to beat, and it adds a sense of urgency to things. All true. So they had been establishing the time limit throughout the show. So Mox, during his entrance, gets jumped from behind by Pac, who hits him in the back of the head with a chair. This is important. Pac beats his ass for several minutes. And what I said earlier about Riddle also applies to Pac. Every single thing he does is worth your time to watch. He is awesome. He beats Moxley's ass for several minutes until finally Moxley is able to spike him with a bulldog on the apron. And Pac did not take this on his face. He took it on the top of his head and planted himself like a lawn dart. And then it's announced 5 minutes of TV time remaining. And Moxley gets a cloverleaf. And Pac gets the ropes. Now there are 4 minutes of TV time remaining. Then there's an avalanche Falcon Arrow, and there's 3 minutes remaining. I'm not leaving anything out. And it occurred to me here that with the sense of urgency, these guys were still moving slower at the finish of the match than Private Party were at any point during their tag match earlier. So there's a schoolboy at 2 minutes remaining. Pac hits the big 450 to the floor, but he misses the black arrow back in the ring. There's 1 minute remaining, and the crowd starts to get restless. Moxley hits the paradigm shift with 30 seconds to go, but paradigm shift is a DDT. And when he grabs this guy and he falls backward, he hits his own head on the back of the mat, just where he was hit with a steel chair when Pac came out in the first place. It all tied together into everything. So Moxley could not make a cover at first, and by the time he made the cover, Pac could kick out. Now, right when he hit the DDT, we were told there was 30 seconds to go. And a few seconds later, we hear 10, 9, 8. I thought, man, that went fast. And I went back and counted. Somebody screwed up. Because we went from 30 seconds to 10 seconds in about 4 seconds. Regardless, he did make a cover, Pac did kick out, and then the clock expired. And there's a time limit draw. And then just to try and make the fans happy, Moxley did lay out the ref, which got a big pop. But he was frustrated. Pac was dead. The crowd was frustrated. And that's how AEW Dynamite went off the air.
When this was over, I just did not like this draw. And then I tweeted about it. I don't know if fans are going to accept time limit draws in 2019. And I just had one person after another saying, I was fine with it. I liked it. I accepted it. I was fine with it. It was great. And I was like, all right, well,
yeah,
I'm wrong.
They established a rule, and the rule was followed.
Well, listen,
great.
That's what I know they want to do time limits, and I know you have to establish it. I could not figure out why this bothered me so much, but it really did. And then somebody, I think on the board, basically explained, at least once they said this, I think I figured out what bothered me so much. It wasn't like a 20-minute draw or a 30-minute draw. It was 12 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just saw them do a draw 3 months ago with Cody and Darby Allin. I feel they went back to the draw too quick, and I feel that doing a 12-minute draw, it just was like, that was lame. You know what I'm saying? If they'd had a 20-minute match and went to a draw, or a 30-minute match and went to a draw, I don't think it would have bothered me, but 12 minutes was just weird.
No, it's TV time remaining.
But it wasn't, because they counted down.
They did have like a minute.
And then there was like a minute or two left afterwards.
Of John Moxley just saying, time limit draw my ass over and over.
Yeah, and he DDT'd the ref, and it was also weird because one of the top baby faces is saying that the time limit draw is bullshit, which basically makes the draw like a heel type of deal. I don't know. I just didn't like this. I know they got to do it. I know they have to establish it.
If they do it again, like this year, that would suck.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. But
hopefully they don't do it again soon.
Used sparingly, I would much rather have have a time limit draw here than just have the inner circle come out and beat up both guys.
Yeah, so stupid DQ would have been much worse. And
yes.
I didn't... It's fine. I know they have to do it. I understand. I hope it gets over. I hope they make it work. I'm sure at some point they'll be at 29 minutes and 58 seconds and someone will get a pin and the place is going to go unglued. I get all that. I just didn't like this one here. It bothered me. The match was too short. The ending just came. You could hear the fans getting upset because they knew it was going to be a draw. I didn't think it was a great ending to the show. But that's fine. Because at the end of the day, as we do our poll here, which show is better, I am once again voting for AEW. I thought it was the better show.
I'm going to, this is the first time I've done this one, I'm going to cop out and go with a tie. There was a lot of stuff.
A tie?
I liked a lot of stuff
Who
on
in
both
the
shows.
world gives a tie when you have to pick one or the other?
You did. October 2nd, 2019, the very first week.
Thank you, Jericho. That was my point.
I see.
Harkening back to the scarf.
Regardless, I voted tie. There's a lot of stuff I liked on both shows. There was some stuff about both shows that irritated me. A tie this week.
Well, in the end, it's a tie. So who's winning in the standings? AEW by a hair?
Assuming each of us, our votes counts for 1 point. Actually, at this point, by point totals, AEW is crushing them.
Really?
It's 5 votes total for AEW, 1 for NXT, and 2 ties.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't think it was that much of a... It's kind of like one of those fights where the ending score is 50-45, so it seems like one dude totally destroyed the other.
Yeah.
But the reality was every single round was super close, and one guy barely won each time.
That's what's happening.
Yeah, that's
there
what's
there has
happening
not
here.
been a knockout yet.
No knockouts. Both shows have been great. There's not been one bad show from either company.
No. That's abundantly clear. And there were a lot of bad NXT shows before this Wednesday Night War started.
There were a lot of bad Raw and Nitro shows.
There remain.
I don't think there's ever been 4 weeks where Raw and Nitro were both awesome for straight weeks.
I guarantee you that never happened.
Yeah, look at that.
We
First
just went
4
back
weeks they've
over
already
it.
done this.
Yes.
All right, there you go, everybody. We're going to wrap it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow on Observer Live. And then this weekend, Vinny and I will be back on Sunday for Granny and I guess NWA World Championship Wrestling this week. And that is it, everybody. We'll talk to you again after a while.
Adios.